Arizona State, Notre Dame, a great matchup. His new nickname is also JB. However, looking at this game this week, who comes out on top in your mind?
This is an easy one. I think Arizona State not only wins this game, I think they win it convincingly. And the reason I bring that up is if you look at their style of play, you look at what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. When this football team blitzes, they give up 3 yards of play. When they don't blitz, they give up 7. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to blitz relentlessly. The Notre Dame offensive line, who struggle to pick that up, they're going to blitz Everett Golson relentlessly. He's 85th in the nation in terms of his quarterback rating against the blitz. I don't think this game's even close. I think Arizona State lines up, play ultra aggressive game plan. I think that Everett Golson creates a lot of turnovers or commits a lot of turnovers. Therefore, I think Arizona State wins the game and they win it easy.
Awesome. Well, he's the college football guru. He knows his analytics. I'm bringing him with me to Vegas always. John Berger. Aaron Hardigan, college football insider. John Berger taking things to the next level today, and happy to have you along for the ride. Lucky for you as well, he's an analytics guru. Analytics are a thing these days. The College Football Playoff Committee and the NFL are both using them now.
Yeah.
What gives?
Well, I think for the College Football Playoff Committee, they need a subjective view, which we've always had, but they also need an objective view, and that's why they're using analytics. I happen to think they got it, for the most part, correct, with the exception of Florida State. I don't believe, and I said this on air, I don't believe from week 6 onward Florida State was one of the top 4 teams in the country, and I think you saw that play out on the field against Oregon. And on the NFL side, the top 8 teams in the NFL are advanced. They're using this, and they're also going to championships, and they're also playing for Super Bowls. The rest of the league is trying to play catch-up with regard to analytics.
I still didn't understand how you put a number, though, on a pretty loss and an ugly win, but that's
another show.
That's a topic for another show. Switching gears, Bill Snyder and company hoping analytics are on their side this season. K-State, Texas, our game of the week. And what's funny when you look at this matchup, Texas, nothing but 5 stars.
Yep.
Bill, lucky if he gets 1, and never get preseason respect either, yet they're favored in this matchup. Why?
Well, it happens year in and year out. And how does that happen? Bill Snyder knows he's not going to line up against an OU, and he's not going to line up against Texas, and he's not going to beat people with speed and athleticism and all those other things. But what he is going to beat you at is focus and accountability and discipline. He wants to pull you into a specific type of game. I call it the Bill Snyder Puzzle Palace. He wants to play on a short field. When you look at their last 5 wins, their average scoring drive is only 60 yards. How do you do that? You do it with special teams. You do it with Tyler Lockett returning punts, returning kickoffs. This team is phenomenal on 3rd down offense, running the football with Jake Waters, 8th in the country. They don't turn the football over, Aaron, and by the way, they stay on the field all day. So when you add all that up, that's the type of game they want to pull you into that puzzle palace. If you get caught in that kind of game, I don't care if you have 50 5-star athletes, you're going to lose, and that's what K-State does consistently.
Yeah, you also wonder how much that lack of preseason respect plays into it. They are always in the conversation at the end of the year. So is John Berger, our college football insider. Appreciate your time today, buddy.
You bet.
Texas A&M, Alabama, our second game of the week. And the thing is, the Aggies have not defeated the Tide since they had the guy named Johnny Manziel on their side. Now, Aggies coming in on some momentum here. They won the first 5, lost the last 2. How you see this one shake up?
To me, this is all about the defensive side of the football. For Texas A&M, a lot of people in the national conversation is all about what's wrong with their offense. Why can't we produce? That's not what the story is. The difference between the first 5 games and the last 2 for Texas A&M is on the defensive side of the ball. You see the first 5 games there, this team was a negative play machine. Mark Snyder, the defensive coordinator, recognized that, was calling specific defenses for specific situations. And what's been different the last 2 weeks, they're not creating any negative plays. One thing I'll bring to your attention, and I'm going to let this marinate, I'm going to say very slowly. When Texas A&M's defense creates a negative play on you on any given drive, you don't score 88% of the time. So that's how important negative plays on the defensive side of the ball. And by the way, Mark Snyder knows this. That will change his game plan, and you will see that come out on the field this week. He's going to call a different defense, focusing on we got to create those negative plays because our defense is so young and we got to protect it.
He's our college football insider and analytics expert, John Berger. Appreciate the time.
You bet.
Along NFL insider John Berger, I'm Aaron Hardigan. We're talking those Dallas Cowboys. A lot of moves for them this offseason, and you know as well as anyone. One big move. A lot of great pickups, but how about this loss? I rarely question Jerry Jones, but I have to on the fact that he lost a guy like DeMarco Murray to all teams. Philly? Yeah. Are you kidding me?
I think it was the right call. And I know that's not popular to say, certainly not in the Dallas area as we stand here and record this in Dallas, but I absolutely think it was the right thing. So we're going to walk you through. Let's not let the facts get in the way of a good story. So let's walk through the facts for a second. When we get to the end of that, I'm going to ask you, if you were the GM, what decision would you have made? Fact 1, DeMarco Murray wants to be the highest paid running back in the NFL. It's going to be a $15 to $18 million a year. kind of deal. Fact 2 is running backs peak in the NFL ever since 1999 all the way through the 2014 season. I've looked at this in detail. They peaked at the age of 28, significant drop off after that. Let's talk about fact 3 for a second. His workload last year, carried the ball 392 times. That's huge. That's a big workload. I also went back and looked at how many times has this happened in the past. There's only been 5 other running backs in NFL history, Aaron, with that type of workload. And what happened their next year? Let's look at the other facts here. You look at these running backs, there's been 5 times that they had that workload, and look at their production. So when you add all this up, Aaron, I'm going to give you the GM hat right now.
Okay.
What would you have done? Because I happen to think the Dallas Cowboys absolutely made the right decision, not the popular decision, the right decision in letting him run.
Yet they want to go chase another running back who's dealt with injuries in Adrian Peterson.
Didn't happen.
It was definitely out there. Jerry's pretty good at doing
Marketing,
that as well.
smoke signal.
Do you agree then with Joseph Randall's comments that really any back could run behind the line that they have?
I don't know about any back, but I do agree that the Cowboys have arguably the best offensive line in all of the NFL right now.
No doubt.
And I would also say this is a big bet. So I think the Cowboys made the right call. I think it was the right decision. Not the popular one, but the right one.
Okay, so keeping my GM hat on, I would not sign our quarterback to another 10-year deal, right? Tony Romo, he's got to stay healthy as well this season. It'll be interesting to see who's running that rock behind him. He knows as well as anyone. He's our NFL insider, John Berger. Appreciate your time today.
You bet.
Aaron Hardigan, NFL insider. John Berger talking some movers and shakers in the NFL offseason. We know Jerry Jones and those Dallas Cowboys made plenty of headlines, essentially getting 3 first-round caliber players at pick 21. Byron Jones, Randy Gregory lurking around there in that second round, and then landing a guy like Lyle Collins. Your biggest takeaways from his pickups?
I thought the Cowboys did a phenomenal job in the draft this season. Keep in mind that the 2014 Cowboys and every other team in the NFL for that matter, it's a very different league than what you saw back in 1990. People need to understand that. What I mean by that is if you're a GM and you're building a team, it used to be back in the early 90s, obviously you would focus on the quarterback, but so much time was spent at the running back position and the wide receivers, skill guys, defensive line, and offensive linemen back in the 90s were almost like afterthoughts. Let's go find a 6th or 7th round guy. And that's just not the way it is, Aaron. If you look at all the data in the NFL, if you look at every play, every player from 1999 through last season, there's a new NFL, and people need to start grasping this. Obviously, the quarterback position is still the most important, but if you look at the switch in mentality, teams are going out and they're going after the offensive linemen, and they're trying to find those unique difference makers at secondary position, defensive line, and tight end. And that's what the Cowboys have done. When you look at the different teams and the way that they've been built, the Patriots, the Seahawks, there's a common denominator.
There's a group.
And one thing that I'll tell you, Aaron, which is interesting, everybody in the media, everybody in print as well, we spent all this time talking about first-round draft picks. Those teams at the top of the screen right there, they're winning games and championships and going to Super Bowls, and it's not about their first-round draft picks. They're making money in round 2, 3, and 4 in the NFL draft, which are picks number 33 through 100. Now, it's pretty interesting. And I put those last 2 bullet points up for you, Aaron, just because you're kind of a fantasy, Vegas kind of
I'm taking you to
gal.
Vegas with me. I told you this. This is just intriguing to me, though.
Well, these teams at the top of your screen, when you look at a body of work throughout the season, they're typically favored by 4.5 points. And by the way, they're 55% against the spread, which is, if you're not into the betting thing, that doesn't make any sense to you, but that is
Who's not, though? Fantasy football is almost bigger than the game
That
now.
is a
Isn't
huge
that
number.
crazy?
That is a huge number. So that's what it's all about. And in terms of the Cowboys, I think they did a phenomenal job this year in the draft. You don't need to address the quarterback position with Tony Romo. Offensive line, one of the top offensive lines in the country. And look what they did at both defensive line and tight end. They got Randy Gregory. They got Ryan Russell. They went out. Jason Witten's healthy. But they also got Jeff Swain. So if you go back to the board they talk about, the new NFL, Cowboys get what the new NFL is all about. Some teams don't, but they did a good job in addressing those needs throughout the draft.
Again, their very first pick was Byron Jones, the kid out of UConn who can jump out of gym. It'll be interesting to see, though, how his abilities translate to the football field.
That's the biggest thing, yeah.
Although he was a big headline, so I wasn't surprised in the slightest that Jerry Jones wanted that headline on his side. Going to be a fun season. John Berger will be covering it all season long for you, so keep it locked on FoxSports.com. Aaron and John breaking down the game of the week, and that would be Packers in Seattle. This could be a nail-biter.
You think?
It's going to be entertaining television. That is for certain. Who comes out on top in this one?
I think it's going to be a tight game, but I think the Seahawks win. And I knew you were going to ask me that. I knew we were going to have a prediction segment. People were going to say, well, why are you picking who you're picking? There's 6 pillars of football in terms of analytics, and if you can, in any given game, if you can win 4 of those, I'll give you an 85% success rate in picking who the winner is. So let's talk about them. That's rush offense, pass offense, third down, both attempts and conversions, turnover, and red zone. And let me walk you through what I think is going to happen. Rush offense, I think Marshawn Lynch, top back in the NFL right now in terms of creating big explosive plays, making people miss. Check it off, Aaron. I think the Seahawks win those. And again, our goal is to get to 4, so I can give you an 85% success rate in picking this game. I think pass offense, hang with me. I think Russell Wilson, he's been consistent the last 2 games. I think Aaron Rodgers, because he's nicked up, he has that ankle. I think check the box, the Seahawks win it. I'm going to combine number 3 and number 4, your third down attempt and third down conversion. The reason I bring that up, Doug Baldwin. Doesn't matter whether it's third and short, third and long. Doug Baldwin is a big-bodied wide receiver. I think the Seahawks check that box. And then I think when we get down into red zone conversion, I think the combination of a mobile Russell Wilson, I think Marshawn Lynch, and I think Doug Baldwin, those are the 4 that I would check off. And I think by checking those off, we get to the 4 categories that the Seahawks win. I think there's an 85% chance they win that game.
How about the 7th pillar, and that would be the decibels allowed in an NFL stadium? Seattle's got quite a few. Loudest environment.
No question.
You know, Green
Something tells me, though, the Packers, they'll be all right.
They're practicing. They're
I was
practicing
gonna say,
with.
I don't think the noise is going to be that big a deal today.
Aaron Rodgers, not much phases him. We do know that. Hey, he's the NFL insider, the analytics guru, and Mr. Vegas. JonBerger, as always, appreciate the time today.
Good to see you.
Knocks it up. We'll see this season.